All right, here we go. We're back. This is the Bar Banter podcast, critically acclaimed Bar Banter podcast. This is episode 67.
No, we went over this last week. Actually, the last 2 weeks. What episode are we actually on?
67.
No, we're no, no. Also, the 6-7
No, I
stuff.
remember. I remember this one. I remember this one because you were like, so we're this is 13.
This
But
is 13.
did you know like Vineyard Vines has a shirt that has 6-7 on it?
I'm sure
Like
they do. Vineyard
it's
Vines has to
unbelievable.
stay relevant somehow.
But I mean, it's like it's unbelievable. It's
Look,
everywhere.
look, we need to stop with the whole 6-7 thing. It's you know what it is? It's like back when the dab was cool, when the gritty, like it's just a stupid thing that's gonna go away,
Yeah. But
you
I
know.
mean, but in the meantime, it's kind of fun. Did you see like all the like the college basketball games and stuff like that when the team scored like 67, then like everybody in the crowd was going like this?
Yeah, it's pretty embarrassing, quite honestly, as a nation and as humanity that's what gets our rocks off is
Hey, listen, I'm going to tell you what. I can get way more behind the 6-7 than I can, with the politics and all the other bullshit. So,
yeah,
um,
I think that just about anything is better than that.
you know what
So
I'm saying?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
let's let's unite as a country around the six
Six.
seven.
Yeah.
And then we'll do that. So, but anyway, so this is actually 13. So it's lucky number 13. It's a baker's dozen, if you
Uh,
will. You want to try something with that?
Baker's dozen. What
Yeah,
am I
because the dozen, when you tried something with the dozen last time, it didn't work out.
We did a dozen of these things, all right? We did a couple dozen.
That
There you
was
go.
that. See, now that
No
was better.
stuttering that time.
That was better.
Yeah.
Um,
We did a couple dozen episodes.
There you go. Well, we're not at a couple of dozen yet, but anyway, so
No.
so
We'll
yeah.
we'll get
So
there.
what do you want to start out with? Do you want to start out with some bar talk, or do you want to start out with some sports takes? Do you want? I mean, I see you got your OSU from the basketball games,
The
the
souvenir cup.
the undefeated Ohio State Buckeyes just knocked off Notre Dame.
They are undefeated in both football and basketball, men's football, and men's basketball. They are
Is there a
undefeated.
women's football team?
No, I said shout. That's a shout out to Tommy there. Tommy used to always like to say, "I'm a big fan of the Auburn men's football team." I
I
he
like it.
also another good joke that Tommy did not. I don't think we mentioned it when he was on few months ago. He used during March Madness time when it's time to do a bracket. I think I've mentioned it before, but he would sit there and like start talking brackets with people and like start talking about picks and teams, and then like 10 minutes into the conversation, just be like, "Wait, are we talking about the women's bracket or the men's bracket?" That's a that's a
Yeah.
good that's a good one. But yeah,
No, that's good.
undefeated Buckeyes in basketball just knocked off Notre Dame, 1 point game, very exciting game. And yeah, of course, Ohio State football 10-0 now.
Yep.
There are three unbeatens that remain. Three unbeatens that remain. I know you wanted to get into some bar talk. Do you want to do
Well,
that
what?
first, or
Oh,
do you want
so
to do you
so
want to
yeah, you
recap
got you
the?
got you got your Ohio States, you got your Indianas, and you got your Texas A&Ms. A&M dodged a bullet.
Oh my gosh, man! How about that? That was unbelievable. So that ended up being the largest comeback in school history. Um, it was 31-3 or 30-3 at halftime, correct? Or was it 30-0 at halftime?
Yeah, yeah. So I
30-3.
saw a thing that 286 times a team was down 27 plus points at halftime, and that's the first time someone came back and won. It's
Yeah, that
crazy.
that's
That I thought for sure. Okay, I was like, okay, well, that throws that all, and then for a minute there too, I thought Indiana was struggling against Wisconsin. It was 7-7 for a while, but they ended up pulling away.
pulling away.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, Wisconsin's just bad. Um, but yeah, so no, it's going to be fun coming down the stretch here as we see what goes on. There's a little bit of turmoil and stuff that happens, but that'll be fun. The rankings actually come out tomorrow as
Yep.
recording on Monday night. Um,
We'll be live on Instagram. If you guys are watching this podcast, it's already happened because this will probably get uploaded on like Wednesday. Um, but yeah, I mean, we mentioned
because
it last time. If you guys
you get
missed
kind of
it,
lazy with
if
it.
you're watching this podcast and you missed the live, just know in the future, until the thing is all set, we're gonna live stream the rankings as it comes down here and stuff like that. We're gonna start utilizing live more, so make sure you guys are followed on Instagram and follow our TikTok. Get us to 1,000 followers so that we are able to live stream on TikTok. Because if you don't know, TikTok doesn't allow you to live stream unless you have 1,000 followers. So if you can get us to 1,000, we can start live streaming. So that'll be huge. Um, we're only about we're less than 400 away now because we're at six. Dare I say 6, 7? No, we're at like 690 something.
600 or 700. We're somewhere around there,
Somewhere around 6 or 700.
so it'll be
Sorry,
good.
I'm sorry if our
Yeah,
6, 7
yeah.
jokes are too much. We don't want to be a burden to you guys.
No, no. Listen, it's good stuff. It's fun. Um, I okay. So listen. My whole thing about the playoffs is the playoffs and the playoff rankings and stuff like that is like everybody likes to talk about it, everybody likes to squawk about it and everything else. But at the end of the day, it plays itself out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, everybody squawked about, I mean, the way that they did the seeding last year and everything else. Look, oh, Arizona State, Boise, SMU, whatever. Yeah, they got knocked out. Now, Arizona State could have beaten Texas, but I mean, you ended up with a good playoff, and you're going to end up with that again this year. I don't think. I mean, whatever. Even if it could be Navy now,
Yeah.
is that add-on team,
Yeah. Well, because
because
as
of
of
what
right
they just did
now,
to South Florida.
yeah, that was. But they also, as of right now, have what, North Texas in there.
Yeah, North Texas also only has one loss
Hmm.
as the what group of five team or whatever. But I mean, the rest of it's going to play itself out. I hear down the stretch. I mean, you got Oregon and USC playing each other. You got
Hmm.
and by Georgia, and that gives them their three losses. Oklahoma, big win over Alabama. Now that's going to be. I think they pretty much. They just got to win out, and they're in.
Hmm.
Um, So yeah, so it's good time, and it'll play itself out. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
we all like to talk about it and get upset and yell and stuff like that, but I
Just
think at the
yelling.
end of the day, you know, it is what it is, and it's going to be fine. So,
Yeah.
um, but one other thing about the college footballs, did you see the sanctions that came out against MSU?
We're just gonna hold everybody accountable but the University of Michigan. And it's kind of out of control. Because here's the thing, right? Taking away those wins, cool, dude. Like, what does it matter? Like, it's not like they were worth anything anyway, right? But it's
Yeah.
just the principle, the fact that so we're just gonna punish every university that there ever was except for Michigan.
Well, and look and listen, I'm going to get out ahead of this for all the Michigan people that are going to jump in and make comments and everything like that. Michigan didn't do anything wrong. They didn't cheat. It was a gray area. There were no sanctions
Hmm.
for recruiting. Harbaugh just bought a hamburger for somebody. Everybody does it. Now we're into the justification. So it's denial number one,
Hmm.
and then now we're going into the justification. Everybody does it. It didn't really give them an advantage on the field. They weren't really, paying players or making contact during the COVID shutdown that they weren't supposed to, and everything else. And then, what is the third stage of it where the third stage is deflect, and but Ohio State sucks, and Ohio State can't beat Michigan. So that's
Yeah.
that's the progression that happens in every single
So
argument. you know
Correct.
Yeah, I
So
know you. Yeah,
now that you've already said every comment that Michigan fan could have possibly left on this video, first of all, 5-17 against Ohio State since
since
the year I was
2000.
born.
So
Since the year I was born, I'm 25.
the 4 year streak
Yeah.
has brought you to 5-17 since the
Yes.
year 2000. So,
Since
um,
before 9/11.
yeah,
So there's
so
that
good
for
work.
you. So
Um,
all year it's been 1,000 and day. Boy, let me go back and count how many days it was that we beat you in a row before you had your cheating stint of 3 years and then your fluky miracle ego matchup against us last year because Chip Kelly
Har
wanted to.
Har Harbaugh was 0-5 before,
Mhm.
but but so yeah, so MSU has to vacate 14 wins. You know what the funny part about that is they have to vacate the win they had against Central when Connor Stallions was on the sideline dressed up in the Central costume, and Central even got sanctioned for it. They got show cause or whatever, violation or everything like that, because and but yet because of that, and with even with all of that, now that game is a Central Michigan win because MSU had to vacate that win based on these sanctions. And look, and here's the thing. Look, I'm going to tell you what, that that era, the Mel Tucker, all of that and everything else. Like, yeah, I mean, I'm sure there was not a whole lot that was above board there, and they probably do deserve to have
Oh,
vacated
of
wins and
course.
sanctions and everything like that. But my thing is the NCAA is kind of like not there's a chair in a hotel room, right? That's in like the corner,
Mhm.
and it's just kind of faces the bed. And we
Correct.
know what that chair's called,
We do.
right?
Yes.
Like when it comes to certain programs, Michigan being one of them, the NCAA kind of sits in that chair
Yes.
and just kind of watches because they know they don't want to mess with the Michigan money. You know what I mean? And so, and this has been this way for a long time, but you know, they have no power over Michigan and some of the other SEC schools, Alabama, and so on and so forth, because those schools have already said if NCAA continues to be a problem, we're just going to start our own league. So the NCAA is like, well, oh yeah, we fined you $30 million or whatever it was, $20 million, $30 million, but for Michigan, that's like $1 billion organization. That's like fining me $30. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
it's just the NCAA has lost all credibility in the whole thing, and it's silly that they're kind of like they know that they get bent over by certain programs, so then they take it out on other programs. The
Yeah,
only thing
it's
that I do, the only thing that I do, I will say that um to me, because look, you're not going to take the national championship away because you can't, because it's not an NCAA national championship anymore. It's the playoff organization, whatever, and also you know the recruiting stuff and all that. Like, what are you going to do? Because scholarship players, does that really matter anymore? Because it's the NIL money. It's like, well, okay, well, if I want you to go here, then we'll just give you enough money to pay for tuition,
right.
and NIL and all that other kind of stuff. So there was really the only thing to me that would have been a punishment that would have been kind of funny is if they would have vacated the wins for those 3 seasons and took them below the 1,000. So all of those
Yeah.
Michigan 1,000 shirts would have been like,
Would have been
asterisk.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's the only thing. But whatever, it is what it's more comical to me than anything, as far other than getting upset. It just shows where the NCAA actually is right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's zero power over the football programs.
And but
No
it's
governing
also,
body, whatever.
yeah, no. And another thing that I think is extremely frustrating about this whole thing is it's okay. You've got Michigan fan who sits here and they can't make up their mind. Either everybody does it or they didn't do it. So that they say both. It can't be
Well,
both.
it's what happens first.
Yeah.
So it's
But
first they didn't do it, and then when you point out that their own people admitted to it in detail, then they're like, well, then everybody does it. You know what I
But
mean? And then when you point out that, well, no, because this is completely different situation, then it's, yeah, but so and so sucks, or so and so did this, or so and so did that. Then it's the deflect. It's the three stages of, how it goes all the time, and we'll see all of those in the comments, because that's kind of how it just happens naturally. It's almost like clockwork.
yeah,
Whenever
it's
you bring up
predictable.
anything, you get those three.
It's predictable. You know what they're gonna say. Like we said, I guarantee you, when we post this video, the comments are gonna be word for word what we just said. In fact, what I think what we should do is I'll edit it up to where we don't say that part, and then every time somebody comments something we said, we'll post the video with their comment and a timestamp of the date to prove that we recorded this before they commented. But no,
Yep.
what's different to me though is you look at all these other universities, because listen, there's one part of the whole everybody does it. There's truth to the fact that every university gets involved in some shit, right? I mean, it just is what it is.
Oh yeah.
Everybody's been doing it forever. The difference is the reaction to it happening, right? Like Penn State, for example, I've met plenty of Penn State fans who sit there and say, "Yeah, what we did was wrong. That was ridiculous. Absolutely, X, Y, and Z should have happened. Let's just move forward now." Same with Sparty people, with the Larry Nasser and Sparty fan and Mel Tucker and all these. They're saying, yeah, it was dumb. We don't condone that. What happens to us should happen, and then let's just move on now. Even us with the Jim Tressel and the recruiting and all that kind of stuff, it was what it was. Yeah, it was wrong. Let's move on. The only university that gets caught with some shit and can't just sit there and be like, yeah, we effed up is Michigan. I've every single university that gets caught doing, even Notre Dame in 2012, and they got all that season. They say, well, yeah, we were probably, maybe
Yeah,
it
the
might not.
grades. Yeah,
Yeah.
with
So
Golson
it's
and
like
that. Yeah.
every other school that has had some sort of punishment, I've personally spoke to fans of that school, and I've never once they've been like, well, no, it's ridiculous. It didn't happen, and da da da, and we're the best in Michigan, and I'd go to Walmart to get all my gear. Like, it's so frustrating. And the worst part about it is if you guys know, like, us, Bar Banter here, we're from Michigan. I mean, you see the Lion stuff, the Tigers. You were always talking about the Pistons and the Red Wings, the pro teams. I hate the fact that I have to hate the University of Michigan that much because it does suck when, like, your pro teams try and do like collab stuff with Michigan. It's so frustrating. Like, we go to the Thanksgiving game every year, and it's always the Thursday before the Michigan Ohio State game. And the last couple years, in between plays or quarters or whatever, they do like little fun games on the big screen, and they like put the Ohio State logo up, and the whole stadium boos, and then they put the Michigan logo up, and everybody's like, yeah. And I'm like, dude, I'm here to watch the Lions, like. And then I sit there and I'm cheering for Ohio State, and people are looking around like, you have a Lions jersey on. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but like, you guys
Yeah.
suck my ass. So like, I don't want to be associated with you people. But yeah, I think the sanction thing, it's just kind of ridiculous. Like, once again, everybody has to get in trouble. Everybody but Michigan needs to be held accountable. Is just the way it goes, but
I
nothing's going to change.
mean, but I mean, it's laughable at this point. But you know, but speaking of, because in that you brought up Thanksgiving and the Lions and all that other kind of stuff. So the Monday night game. Two things about that. One, it's it's a little bit of alarm because this is now what, the second or third game this year where the offense has looked horrible, because and I think it all starts with, because look, here's what I've said about Jared Goff, right? Like, I mean, I know Detroit and everything else, Jared Goff, Jerry, like, we love our people, right? We love our people. We also hate our people, but whatever.
Yeah.
I've said this all along. Jared Goff can win you a Super Bowl. He is Brad Johnson. He is Joe Flacco. He is those guys, and they've won Super Bowls with those guys. If he's protected, he's going to find the right read. He's going to deliver the ball and everything else, and the offense is great. What happened, what we saw against Green Bay, what we saw against Kansas City, and what we saw against the Vikings, and we saw last night against the Eagles, is it's a completely different person back there when there's pressure.
Yeah.
The ball's not out on time. And then the receivers aren't helping them out. You know what I mean? But the ball's not there where it normally. I mean, it's fingertips and it's down at their feet and it's overthrown and these things and the amount of balls that were knocked down. I mean, it was
Yeah.
almost like instead of him being 6'5", it was like he was 5'5" back
It
there.
was what's his name? I forget the player. I know Jalen Carter had one, but there was one of their other defensive tackles had three.
Yeah, the one on
Three
I
in
think it
one game.
was it the defensive tackle or the one guy at the there I forget his name too, the guy the defensive end.
But regardless,
But
that's
whatever
four
it was. I mean,
deflections
there
in one
was
game. Three going to the
yeah.
same player. I mean,
Yeah.
at what point? And you saw every time a ball get batted, Jared Goff immediately just kind of rolled his eyes and put. I mean, I could tell he was obviously frustrated too, and of course, but that score should not have been that close. And the only reason that the score was that close was because
The
Kelvin
defense
Shepard and the
played.
defense played
Yeah.
unbelievable. And that's the one takeaway that I have why I'm not hitting panic right now. Because yes, we're 6-4, and as if you look at the standings right now, we're out of the playoffs and we're third place in the division.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a little okay, like whoa, but I'm not gonna hit the panic because the defense has looked phenomenal the past couple weeks. The only game they didn't look great was the Minnesota game, but they looked great against Tampa Bay. We looked great against Philly. Kelvin Shepard has done a fantastic job on the defensive side of the ball. And those guys stopped the tush push what 3 times that night, and then the
Yeah,
one
that
tush push
was
that they
yeah.
didn't stop, all of the offensive line false started if you watch it back, and they didn't
Yeah.
call it.
Yeah.
So now that leads us to yes, the offense looked horrible, couldn't move the ball, guys couldn't catch. Every now and again Gibbs and Monty broke one, but for the most part they couldn't get past the line of scrimmage, which was very rare. We haven't seen that before. Yes,
I
played
felt
awful,
like
but the
with
defense,
Dan Campbell calling the plays, I felt like he was a little stubborn running the ball up the middle.
yeah, I think I
And I know he was trying to set up the passing game by doing it. I mean, he
yes,
said that at halftime going in. He's like, "Well, we kind of gave away the first half trying to set up the pass." I get it, but at some point, like you were getting chunk plays on the outside
yeah,
with Gibbs and Monty and JMO. You know what I mean? Like you could tell that Philly, even as good as their defense is, they had no answer to the speed of Gibbs in JMO. Yeah, on the outside.
yeah,
And I think that, kind of like the old Jim Tressel comment, right? Like run it till they stop it.
exactly,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
So, but
but
whatever. Look,
bad game
they've
all
shown that
around.
they make adjustments.
Yes. Yeah. The good news is the Lions have not lost back-to-back games since 2021, and we play the Giants next. Now, I will say the Giants have been keeping a lot of these games. They haven't been winning, but they've only lost by like a touchdown or a field. They've been keeping games close. So I'm not gonna let's not breeze past them and already looked at Thanksgiving because we can't afford, to do that. But um,
Right.
yes, we didn't play well enough to win the game. However, our defense played well enough to keep us in that game, and we would have had a chance, one last chance to tie that game had it not been for the pass interference call there on third down. Once again, that's not the reason we lost the game. However, those type of calls tend to happen against the Lions quite often. And in all reality, just the last couple seasons, officiating has been making some bad calls. What say you about that call at that stage of the game? And what's the more underlying issue there? Because it's kind of caused a spark. Once that happened, we kind of dug back and went through all the other games from Sunday. And like it seemed like every game had a couple missed calls that were outrageous.
But here and look, like calls calls go both ways throughout the game. Right. Like, I mean, there was the one where they called the false start on the one tush push that they were getting ready to do when we came into the neutral zone and the offensive lineman was just touching him because we were in the neutral zone, and then they called the false start on him, like, and then they ended up having to punt instead of run the tush push and whatever. So but that happens earlier in the game, and then it kind of loses
Yeah.
its spotlight when this one was the play of the game. Right. This was the game. It came down to if Philadelphia gets a first down, they win the game. If we stop them, then we have a shot. Now, the way our offense was going, were we going to score? Probably not. I mean, I don't know,
Probably would have
whatever.
been a quick 4-and-out game over. I mean, again, and that's my point. I'm not saying that that's the reason we lost
Yeah.
the game. I'm just saying it's
But it
it's a
was a bad call.
yeah.
It was a bad call. And and I want to talk about this too. Like, I mean, Chris Collinsworth was like he was losing his mind,
Yeah.
right? Like, and I don't know, like all Lions fans hate Chris Collinsworth and everything like that. And
I
I
don't.
don't understand it. I don't know why. I mean, whatever. But
He's
anyway,
not my
so
favorite announcer, but he's definitely not the worst out there right now.
yeah, absolutely. He's no Joel Klatt.
Yeah.
So he was like that was terrible. He's like, if anything, that's a put. Now the official later said that what he saw was Yassine grab Brown's arm, and they were kind of like hand fighting, and with the push off, Yassine's hand was obviously there wasn't a grab when you look back on it. Whatever. I tell you what, a lot of respect to Yassine. They interviewed him after the game, and his comments were, "Hey, listen, that's AJ Brown. He's a great player, and he's going to get the respect, and I've got to be better." And you know what I mean? Like, he could have said, "Oh, that's a BS call," da 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 da. But look, at the end of the day, so a lot of respect for
Mhm.
him, because I know he had to be gutted
Oh,
because
absolutely.
he played that perfectly in that
And Dan
situation
Campbell said,
against a
Dan
great
Campbell,
receiver.
yes, and Dan Campbell said I wouldn't tell him to do anything differently.
You couldn't
Which
do
you
anything
can't,
differently.
and that's one of those things where you just let the play go. Because yes, you could
Nine
have called a push off, you could have called grabbing, it was a physical route. That's
nine
what
times
football
out of
is.
10, 9 times out of 10, there's no flag there.
Yeah,
But whatever, it is what it is. Look, we didn't play well enough to win.
of
Um,
course.
at the end of the day, you like to get a little cheapy win when you have those kind of games somehow, some way. But
Right.
whatever. Look, here's the thing: you're a game out of the division lead. You got Green Bay coming up. You got you got another game against the Bears.
We
You
end the
got
season with the Bears at home.
you know what I mean? So you just got to win the division.
Mm.
You're not going to get a number one seed, but whatever, who
Well,
cares? I
because look
mean,
at
look what
Tampa Bay
happened
right now. Tampa
last year.
Bay's at 6-4 also, and they're at a 3 seed because of how bad that
They're
division
yeah,
is. Although
yeah,
I will say the Carolina Panthers are also 6-4. Is something going on in
yeah.
Charlotte there?
What's going on in Jacksonville too?
Duval, it's the Liam Cohen
Yep.
effect there. Yeah,
I mean,
this season has been insane.
Broncos,
Yeah,
Patriots. But yeah, so that's
Rams.
that's kind of fun. Rams, look like the best team in the league. So I do want to talk about real quick because I got the game on right now and I'm watching the Pistons. And can we talk about what the Pistons are doing?
Yeah, incredible.
I mean, it's like Will Ferrell in old school. Like, we're going streaking.
Hmm.
Come on, let's go. Bring your green hat. We're going streaking. And they're, I mean, it's and in the middle of this streak, I mean, Cade has been out. You had Duran was out for a
Yep.
while. You had Stewart
Ivy
out for
hasn't
a
played
while.
in
You
forever.
had there was 7 rotational players out against the Bulls a couple games back, and then they still won that game, and almost in convincing fashion. I mean, they
Yeah.
were they were up big most of it. Bulls came back late, and then the Pistons hung on. But right now they are absolutely destroying the defending Eastern Conference champion Indiana Pacers, and man, they're just fun. It's fun. I gotta tell you, with the Pistons being good again, I was kind of down, down. There was that period where I was down on the NBA. Didn't it was oh, is it going to be LeBron versus Steph, LeBron versus Durant, LeBron versus Steph, every year or whatever. Now, with what happened last year, the year before, and now with the Pistons being really good, now it's fun again because
It
it's
is.
like you get to see all these other teams that are fun to watch.
Right. Yeah, it is exciting too, especially because the NBA has been so as of late. Last season was kind of fun in the postseason there when you had your old school Knicks Pacers. The Thunder got good out of nowhere. You're seeing a lot of new teams. Yeah, Minnesota and Anthony Edwards were entertaining. It's getting better. And it's even more so now here in Detroit, seeing the Pistons be good again. Like you said, we haven't really been good since the Billups era and then the Bad Boys. So it's like now finally having some talk around Detroit basketball. It's exciting. And while we're on the topic, the Red Wings aren't playing half bad either.
No,
So
did you see the brawl?
yeah, the brawl. How about
That
that?
was kind of
Got
fun.
a
So
Donnybrook.
let me ask you a question on that. Do you think that's a breach of etiquette to fire a puck into the empty net after the horn sounds and the game's over? Because that's what's fired it up. So the goalie quick comes running out because he was pissed off about him firing the puck into the empty net after the horn sounded.
Um, my opinion might be different just because I never played hockey. Um, and some people that might be more of a diehard hockey fan. I'm a very casual hockey fan, right?
Yeah,
So to me, I don't think it's a big deal at all.
yeah,
I'm trying to like relate it to something else in sports. Maybe like in basketball, when you're dribbling the ball out and then you just rifle one up anyway at the very end. I guess it could be considered like, come on, like just it's whatever. If the game's already over, kind of kick you while you're down type of thing. But I don't know, man. I think this early into a season, it's I don't know. I feel like if it was a more high stakes, intense type of rivalry and like, game like that in the playoffs, then like maybe, yeah, but I don't know, man. Also, but this also comes back to like the whole flag planning and things like that. Like at the end of the day, just win the game, right? If you don't want any of these type of shenanigans and all this type of, whatnot, you can avoid all of it by just winning the game.
yeah. I mean, this one, like again, like I think the flag planning is childish. I'm a Baker guy. I love Baker and everything else. He
Yeah.
still says he loves that he did that, and everything else or
Look,
whatever. It's,
I'm still a
but
Baker guy, and I'm still a
yeah,
Baker guy after that. It is
but
what it is. It's
but again, you're right. Like win the game. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And this, but the fun part about this too is so with me with the hockey, because you're right. Like, again, I'm a casual hockey fan too. The thing for me is I love the original six, right?
Yep.
Like I love the original six teams. And I love the fact that now this is gonna kind of create a little bit of animosity between the Wings and the Rangers going forward.
Which
And
is
I kind of
cool.
like that. You,
Yeah. Spark
I
up
mean,
some
next
old
time they
rivalries.
play,
Yeah.
it's gonna be fun, old time hockey again, and that's gonna be good stuff. So
Yeah.
so
And
that's
I'm
good.
hoping that, Red Wings can keep this momentum going. And we can get some playoff hockey in Detroit back because we had that, what was it, 21 or 22 years in a row?
It was
Um,
21, yeah.
21 in a row, and we haven't been back in a handful of years. So getting some playoff hockey back in Detroit, as well as some playoff basketball after playoff football and playoff. If the Lions can figure it out, I expect us to get back into the playoffs this year. I know this is a little rough patch right now, but we will have all four of our pro teams in the playoffs in the same calendar year, which would be pretty cool. When was the? Do you know? Would you have to look it up, or could you
I'm
tell
I'm
me when
gonna
the?
I'm gonna I'm gonna
Yeah,
hit the Googles.
yeah. When was the last time all four pro Detroit teams were in the playoffs in the same season, same calendar year?
You're talking about just Detroit?
Just Detroit.
I don't think that happened.
Has that never happened?
I don't think it's ever happened in Detroit, because you got to remember the Lions were barely ever in the playoffs.
Right.
And then
Well,
when
what
the
about the
Wings,
90s with Barry? Where the Pistons had to have been
yeah, but the Tigers were bad.
Tigers were bad in the 90s.
Yeah, Tigers were bad in the 90s, and then the mid 90s, mid to late 90s, the Pistons were not good either.
So yeah,
But
maybe it's never happened. Well, let's double check it. But also, yeah, that would be
let's
fun. Let's see if what other can I guess which city did it last?
I can, yeah, you can guess.
I'm gonna I'm gonna guess Chicago.
That's a good guess.
My only concern is the Bears.
I mean, the Bears. I mean, okay, that.
I don't think it would have been Philly. I think Philly's probably in the same boat we are.
Oh, this is what came up. It just it wasn't exactly what I was looking for, but it's
Maybe Boston.
Philadelphia is the only city to have all four major sports teams, Phillies, Sixers, Eagles, Flyers, play in their respective championship game or series in the same season.
Now
And then
that's
Philly was the
crazy
only team that won the championship. That's crazy.
because I'm just talking playoffs. That's crazy that they were all. What year was that?
1980,
Okay. So no, but that doesn't mention. Okay, so we're trying to figure out just playoffs in
just
the.
in the playoffs. That says championship.
Well, that means that they also were in the playoffs too. So as of right now, we're gonna take that as the last until
1980.
1980. We'll take that as the last until we can find something else. Maybe Boston.
That's where I was thinking. I was thinking Boston.
I mean,
Okay, so 2018, all Boston teams made the playoffs.
that was the last.
And then this guy says LA does it almost every year, but actually,
Oh yeah, I guess LA.
LA and
But
New
I mean,
York, they have 8 teams to
that's what
do it.
I'm
They
saying.
had
So I'm
two in
saying
each.
four,
Yeah,
right? Like a city
but
that
they but
only
they
has
but
four
they haven't. So this says 2018 Boston, and then the last time that all four made it to their respective
championships
championships was
was
1980 in
Philly.
Philly.
Wow.
And so the Detroit has a good chance because we already had the Tigers.
Yep.
Got to feel like the Lions are going to make the playoffs.
Yep.
Got to feel like the Pistons are going to make the playoffs again.
Yep.
And
So it
you know,
really
if the
relies
Red
on the
Wings
wings
get
here.
back in, then
Relying
that's
on the
good.
wings. That would be so cool, man, for a city that has been kind of battered and bruised for a while.
Yeah,
Not to steal Dan Campbell's thunder there, but it's yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
that is fun. That's kind of fun. I love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
that's a fun little one. Okay, so speaking of fun little things here, you said you had something, a little surprise for me?
Okay, let me ask you a question. So you've been working at bars for a
Hmm.
little while now. So
Yep.
you do, and we talked about this. Before you even start working at the bars, about how important it is for them to be on top of the TV situation.
Yes.
Right? Like
Yes.
you got to be on top of the TV situation. When there's certain games on or certain times a year or whatever, you have to be, and you have to be strategic of where you're putting things or whatever. Like, the B Dubs by me, like one of the managers, she makes sure she surveys the room and looks where jerseys are and
Oh,
then
see, now that's
strategically
strong.
puts, games and stuff like that. And we had there's another account guys, it's a day drink, and
Yeah.
those dudes are a good time. And we gotta reach out and do a collab with
Yeah.
them. But um they talked about, and I think they went a step further and talked about creating an entire position at the bar
Yeah.
where it was just a dude that sits there and makes sure that all the TVs are on point all the time, and then it's like all free drinks and free apps, and
The
and
remote
that's
guy.
it. Like I'm gonna tell, like I'm gonna send my resume in
Well,
um
I will tell you,
for that.
I was essentially the remote guy at Johnny's. However, I was also a server and a bartender. But when I worked at one of the places in Orlando, I was the remote guy. People would come in on my day off, and like I had regulars that would text me, and they'd be like, "Hey, what channel is such and such? They're trying to put a game on for me, and they don't know." And I'm
I
I'm
know
at
there was a lot
home,
of
and I'm
times
like,
where
"It's
you
channel
would have to.
219." Like, so yeah, I think having a remote guy is important. So yeah, shout out Day Drink.
Yeah.
That was a great take. Loved that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you were
So
saying
there was even times when you had to like log into my Peacock
yes,
and stuff
yep,
like that,
yeah.
because of the certain games or whatever. But but my actual question on this was, what is your thought as far as the closed captions on the TVs at the bar?
Hate it, hate it,
Oh,
hate it.
but hold on a second. Like, okay, so so here's the thing. So like if you go like day drink, like if you go to day drink and you're at the bar,
Yeah,
like for lunch or whatever, there's not going to be games on. There's going to be like the Pat McAfee show and stuff like that are on the TVs.
that's
Right.
different. Yes.
So that's kind of like my thought. Like if
Okay.
it's a show, do
If
you
it's a
put the
show,
closed caption on?
yes. Games, absolutely not.
So yeah, I've never seen. Well, there's, I mean, when we go to the McSwiggins,
Well,
you
there's
get
this
the
Roku screen and then the local
yeah, and
news
then
and
you
then
get,
like
but you
Chive
sometimes you
TV.
get the closed caption because the closed caption can interfere with the game and the sports bubble and
Yes,
all
like
that
sometimes
stuff.
it'll cover the scoreboard. Sometimes if it's like depending on what type of TV you have or what type of network you have, it'll be like in the middle of the screen. Like it won't even be like it'll be like all the way down and it's like covering the whole thing. Like you're missing plays and whatnot. For shows, yeah, I guess it's okay. If you're just sitting there having lunch and there's a show on, I can see that.
I feel
But
like you kind
games,
of run the closed caption until like 7 o'clock,
just run it until
and
the
then
game, run it until there's
the
games
games
on.
come on.
Run it until there's games on. As soon as the game
Yeah,
comes on, shut that ish off.
yeah, yeah. But you got to have the closed caption for the
Well,
shows because that's
not for the Joel Klatt show. You don't need closed captions.
no.
You also
Don't
don't
even
need
put that.
it. And
Don't
quite
even.
to be honest with you, you probably don't need it for Cowherd either. There's a couple. Listen, the only show that so personally, the only show that I would not mind captions being as McAfee show. That's it. That's the only show I watch that's worth a
e-
shit. All these other
Even when
dudes, all these other shows, Golick and Golick's a good one.
Golick and
Um,
Golick, yeah.
I,
But
I
even when it's a show that I don't really like I don't necessarily care too much about the people. What is the one with Broussard was it Broussard and Nick what's his face?
Nick
Um
Wright,
the yeah,
first
with
things
the long
first.
hair. Yeah.
You like that
No,
show?
no, it's awful.
Oh, it's horrible. Yeah.
But I'm saying if that's on the TV at the bar, I want the closed caption just so I can see at least what they're talking about. You know what I mean?
Well, but the good thing about those shows is they have graphics that always have the subject at least.
They
And if
have, yeah.
if it's Nick Wright, his take's going to be god awful anyway. So what
Yeah,
does it
but it's kind
matter?
of fun to laugh at him a little bit though.
I guess. I guess.
Yeah. But so yeah. So I think we could start a petition to start, saying let's put the captions on the TV for when the shows are on.
See, I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that far to get to put effort into it. If it's on, it's on. If it's not, it's not. I don't really care.
I want it on.
It wouldn't bug me that much to the point where I feel like something needs to be done about it.
I think it's kind of one of those things to where once you go to a bar that has the captions on during a TV show like that, then when you go to a bar that doesn't, you're going to be mad.
Well, just lip read.
Well, but not everybody can lip read. I
I
mean, I've
think
been half deaf my whole entire life, so I'm pretty decent at it.
I,
But
I I don't know. I think at the end of the day, I think that yes, I think that when there's shows on, I think it's important if you're trying to like just decompress on a lunch break or whatever, and you don't want to scroll through your phone, especially while you're eating. It's hard to eat and have your phone out. I know, like
yeah,
when I first sit down at a bar for lunch, I'm scrolling for a while I'm having my drink or two, but when I get my food, I put my phone down, so I'm kind of just like just staring at stuff.
right.
I mean, I can kind of, like you said, I can kind of lip read a little bit so I can get somewhat of an idea. And then, like I said, they always have the topic like graphic down there, so I can kind of know what they're getting at. And just somebody who follows sports avidly, I can pretty much piece the puzzle together and kind of figure out what they're probably talking about. But I guess, yeah,
Mhm.
you're right. Having the captions on, just to know what they're saying might be kind of cool. I just personally wouldn't ever go out of my way to be like, hey, can you put the captions on for that?
Oh no, no, I'm not going to ask. I just think that should be something that should happen. I think that should be something that people should start, you know, like we'll add on to this job that the day drink guys came up with, and we'll be like he's got to be able to know when to like toggle on and off the captions and stuff too for what type of content's on the TV.
Mhm.
But speaking of being a regular at a bar. Do you know that improves your health?
You did send me something earlier in the week, or last week. And yes, yes. Also to that same exact point, um, I don't think we mentioned this last week, but what Joe Flacco said. So I used to see dudes sitting by themselves at a bar and think, wow, that must suck. They must be lonely. Now that I'm older, I realize that that dude's in heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're just kind of there. Like you like to have banter every once in a while,
Hmm.
but there's also times when you just want
You
you
just
just
want
want
to,
to
yeah.
like zone in and like
Hmm.
boom, like be in front of a TV and stuff like that. Like I
Yes.
talk about all the time. Like I like to chit chat with people that are like what are you about and all this other kind of things and like learn whatever. But also like when I used to travel all the time, like I loved being able to just go up to a bar, get a burger or steak or whatever. I was chicken wings and French fries and have my Coors Lights
Hmm.
and have a TV of some kind of game right in front of me and for 2 hours just sit there and eat and drink and
Yeah.
watch and just be in your own little space that's with some ambiance around you. Like it's a good time,
Yeah.
but then like once you become a regular then you have a little bit of you can do that, but then also you got your little bit of banter from the
Yep.
people that work there and then also from the other regulars that are there,
Yeah.
right? Like so, but there was so Oxford University did a study and it was published in the Adaptive Human Behavior and Psychology Journal. So I mean it's like an official study of mental and physical well-being. um and they said that that they looked at three data factors for the study: happiness. So like if you're going to a
Hmm.
bar and you're a regular, like you're happy because you're going to a bar. Number two, you're chit chatting with people. um and then trustworthiness is another one. Approachability. Those data factors were in there. um And the research was done in England and focused on local pubs where conversation among regulars were a key part of the pub going experience.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh, so it's science
it
that
is.
you should find a bar to be a regular at.
I absolutely agree. I think that having a bar that you can be a regular at is so good for a lot of reasons, like all the reasons you just mentioned, but also it's like that source of comfort that it's so hard to find that like kind of source of comfort in anything else. Like it's a different type of comfort, if that makes sense. Like a lot of people
Yeah,
say, "Oh, I like to just sit on my couch and put a movie on," or I like to sit at my computer and play video games. Like that's where I feel like zen, or I take a bath at night, or just those are all like feel good, like yeah, like comfort moments. But I'm gonna tell you, man, just having a bar that you're comfortable at, where the bartenders and the servers know you by name, they know your drink order. You see a lot of the same people. You just kind of just short little banter, nothing too crazy, and
right.
you're there, and it's like a second home, and you feel good. And the best part about it is it's the same type of place that you could have two at with some lunch, or you could just get smashed, right? Like
Yeah,
you could do either. You could go there at on a
yeah,
Saturday night and get sauced and be like, I love this place, or you could just have two and a burger and go home and be there for an hour and be like, I love this place.
yeah. Because I think that's the awesome part about it, right? Like you walk in, you don't even have to say what your drink order is.
Yep.
Sometimes you don't even have to say what your food order is. You
Mm.
don't have to ask for another beer. You don't have to ask, and but I do want to say though, like one of the key things, like so, like me, like I'm a Coors Light bottle guy when I go to a bar.
Yeah.
I'm a Coors Light bottle guy, and one of the frustrating things for me is when you go into a bar because there's a lot of different things that you look for at a bar. One is with the TV situation good,
Mhm.
what is the atmosphere like? Is there going to be room up at the bar to elbow up, or is it like a
Right.
really small bar that's always crowded and you can never find a spot? And is there good food there?
Yes.
And
That's
once you
also,
have
yeah.
all of those things, and then you sit down and you're like, I'll have a Coors Light bottle, and then they bring you that aluminum thing.
Yeah. That's annoying.
It's like about to send me into a fit of rage. right? Like, because I can't do it. And I can't, and then it's like, okay, well, then I go to the draft. And see, my problem is I go to the drafts are never cold enough for me. You know what I mean? Like I like the cold, like the
Yeah.
the Coors Light bottle because you stick it like I mean it's cold, and
Yeah.
that's and it's the 12 ounces, so it's not going to get warm by the time you're done with it. Like it's just a perfect thing. And then like so you got some of these bars that are like, oh, we got the aluminum bottle. That's the first stop calling it a bottle. It's not a bottle.
At that point, just give me a
It's
can.
it's a I
At
would
that point,
actually
just
rather the can than the
yeah, just give me
stupid
a
big
can.
wide mouth that cuts your face.
Yeah, and it does too. Yeah, like it hurts to like pause, but it hurts to suck on it a little bit. Like, but no, genuinely, I would much rather just give me a tall boy or just give me a can.
Yeah,
You know, I love when you go into a little dingy old bar and you don't specify draft or bottle or whatever, and they just give you a can. And I'm like, this is awesome. I see. I prefer can over bottle. I know you're a bottle guy. I prefer can over
yeah,
bottle.
I'm
I don't
I'm a
drink
bottle
beer as
guy.
much anymore because like the tummy, but I'm a high noon guy, so I mean, can's all I get. But
Yeah.
if I do feel like I'm gonna, be a bad boy and I drink a beer, I honestly would prefer a can.
Okay, so like here's the other part of it too, right? Like so certain beers taste better out of can than bottle, and certain beers taste better out of a bottle than a can. Like so if I'm gonna go can, then I go Bush Light or something like that.
Mhm.
Like I'm gonna
Bush
drink a
Light's
Bush
Bush
Light out
Light's
of a
great in
can.
a can. Natty Light, um, bottle. So Ultra is one that's tricky to me. Ultra, I feel like I can't sit here and tell you which one's better, bottle or can, when it comes to Ultra.
And that's the way like so I mean I look, I like the bottle, but Coors Light I can drink out of a can and a bottle, right?
Yeah, I can't. I can't. I can
But
only do Coors in a bottle. Coors
but
cans are
see
awful to me.
the High Life I need to have in a bottle. I can't have it in a can.
Mhm.
And the banquet beer, the Coors Banquet, that's got
Banquet
to be in
got
the
to be in a
little
bottle.
nubby bottle.
Yeah.
That can't be in a can. But yeah, but I hate when they try to play that trick on you and they bring you that aluminum can bottle thing that they call a bottle.
Yeah, it's
That's not a
just
bottle
stupid.
like
All
that.
sorts of
I hate
dumbness.
that. Or when you go to like a festival, like, and I understand that they don't want
I
glass bottles and stuff like that
But then
all
just
over the
do the
place.
can. Like, why
That's
is that
right.
even an invention? If you
That's what I'm
can't do
saying.
glass bottles, just do a can. Like the
Yeah.
aluminum bottle is so dumb.
Because let me ask you a question. Are you really recapping it?
No, I mean, who? Because if you had a glass bottle, you're not recapping it.
Right.
So what genuinely is the reason for it? To recap it? Why if you need to recap a beer, like
Yeah.
if you're sipping a beer that slow that you want to put a cap back on, like you don't need to be drinking a beer.
Yeah.
That's my thought.
It is. It's a dumb thing. But yeah, you got to have a regular bar. You got to have okay, so here's so like you watch the bar rescues
Absolutely,
with
yeah.
John Tapper
John Taffer, my
and
guy.
that so like okay, like yeah, some of these places that they go into like, rats in the kitchen and stuff like
Yeah,
that or whatever, it's like okay, that's pretty bad. But also at the same time, it's like some of these bars are like, that's a pretty cool dive bar. Like, what are
yeah,
we doing?
yeah.
Like, I think like some of these, it's like you only need like if they're struggling financially, the only thing they need is better marketing.
Right.
They don't need to change anything. I mean,
Correct.
like some of these bars, it looks like, yeah, like that looks like a good little hometown bar. Like,
Mhm.
I would go hang out at that bar.
Yeah.
There was one where the guy rode the horse inside the bar. I mean,
The guy,
you're in you're in a hometown bar when a horse comes in,
yeah. That's
guy on a
pretty
horse,
outstanding, right? That's
right?
pretty cool.
Yeah, like I mean, that's
I well
that's
we
pretty fun.
we we did the the challenge, give you $20, this is your night out. I would much rather go to a dive bar than any sort of club, cocktail bar, fancy schmancy, nice techie. Like just give me a hole in the wall, give me the neon lights, give me cheap drinks, give me burgers, wings, and fried pickles and your basic bar food. I mean, that's where it's at right there. I don't need any of this other kind of stuff, right?
Because what? Because okay, because here's the thing, and sometimes I do like a little more like, sometimes I'll like a little bit more upscale type of bar, for a little bit something different. The problem with those places is okay. So like if I'm gonna drink like an old fashioned or whatever, like I'm not gonna drink an old fashioned at a dive bar. I'm gonna go to,
No, of course not.
whatever. And sometimes I like to go to those places, but the problem is those are the places that you have to go to with like your wife or your girlfriend
Yes.
or a work buddy or like a
Right.
client or something like that because you're not going to go to those places by yourself because
Some
there's
people
no
do, and I don't
TVs,
understand it.
huh?
Some people do, and I don't understand it.
Yeah, but there,
Like
yeah, because I mean,
I
but there's
worked at
no
like a
TVs.
dumb little cocktail upscale bar in Orlando for a couple months, and
Yeah,
I kind of hated it. And but we had like quote unquote regulars there, and it never made sense to me why they would come there. Like I would never go. Like the only reason I went there ever to get a drink on my day off is because we drank for free. We drank for free, and you just tipped the bartender. Like it was kind of one of those type of deals, which we ended up got. Long story short, got in trouble for that eventually, but point of the story is like I don't understand why people go there, sit at this tiny little bar in the most uncomfortable chairs, by the way. Like they're trying to be all like innovative and like these cool, like
they were
futuristic.
not comfortable
They're the
chairs,
most
and the
uncomfortable
bar
chairs in the
situation
world.
itself was not great.
Terrible. You had like these tiny little TVs, like in random spots that had like Amazon Prime on it, and that was it. So you had like movies and TV shows and stupidness going on. So yeah, and also too, the drink selection was bad because it's a cocktail bar. They want you to try their signature cocktails. Like, no. So, yeah, go to a dive bar, even a sports bar. Like, okay, so like here in Columbus, Yogi's, my favorite bar. That's more of a sports bar than a dive bar, but it's outstanding and I love it.
Yeah,
Roosters also more of a sports bar, not a dive bar. Great place, like it.
yeah,
You know, when I was in Orlando, I was more of a, Johnny's, Burton's, that was a dive bar type of deal. In fact, the Gators dockside that I worked at was supposed to be a sports bar, but with the location and what we turned it into a dive bar. But I mean, just there's a good teeter totter, right?
yeah.
A healthy medium of sports and dive bar, like right, that's like the perfect mix.
If you get one that mixes both pretty well, then you're in a good spot
Yeah,
right there. They're hard to find.
they are.
They're hard to find. Because yeah, like you said, yeah, like you usually get the dive bar part, and then there's like few random TVs or whatever.
Right.
And if you have all of the TVs and stuff, then it's more like you're bringing families and stuff
Mhm.
like that, and
Right.
it turns into the sports bar stuff like that. Um, but yeah, okay. Well, so the playoff rankings come out tomorrow. We're gonna go live on that.
Yep.
We got the Pistons are up 20 right now, 21 in the third quarter against the Pacers.
Which
We got the Cowboys that are up 10-6 over the Raiders.
Pacers
Um,
is crazy. 1 and
yeah,
12 after
it's I
being in the
don't yeah,
finals
they
last year. Unreal. We also had John Cena's last ever Monday Night Raw tonight. He's getting set for his last match here at the end of December. So after that match, you really can't see him.
no, you can't.
Can't.
All right. Well, yeah, check us out on the live. Check us out on all the other socials. Follow, interact with us.
Yeah. Like
Tell
I
your
said,
friends and families to follow.
yes,
Like, let's
get us
do
to a
all that
thousand on
stuff.
TikTok so that we can go live.
Had something on my mic, but okay. All right. Well, coolness. That's a wrap for episode 67, 13,
13. 1-3.
and we'll catch you on the flippity flip.
Catch you on the flippity flip.